So, hello everyone, and welcome to Innovation Plus podcast channel. Today we are recording a special episode where we dive deep into the Foundry. It's an amazing initiative at Laurentian University that focuses on innovation, entrepreneurship, and leadership. I'm thrilled to be joined with two incredible guests who are making waves in this space. First, we have Heather. Heather is Innovation and Commercialization Coordinator at Laurentian. Heather has played a key role in bringing ideas to life and supporting innovations through the Foundry's various programs. She also brings a wealth of experience from her background in chemical science and forensics. And joining us, we have Gisele Roberts, the Director of Research and Innovation at Laurentian University, with over 15 years of experience in technology transfer, innovation support, and commercialization. Gisele has been pivotal figure in fostering partnership and driving the research agenda forward at the university. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Thank you for joining. And Heather and Gisele, would you like to maybe share a little bit about your story to add into your introduction that I just did?
Sure, I can start. So the Foundry, though I wasn't originally a part of its creation, I actually joined the team here in 2021. So I was working prior in the research office. So it's been fantastic to join. I've learned so much along the way, and I'm continuing to learn every day. And, I'm really grateful to the individuals that have helped me along the way, especially Gisele here, who's been, pivotal in helping me, build and just grow the Foundry that, she started this initiative way back when. So it's great to see that, we finally have a space on campus where we can grow, innovation and entrepreneurship here at Laurentian.
Yeah, right on. Gisele, would you like to take?
Yeah, so thanks for having us on. This is really great and giving us a little bit visibility and hopefully creating some awareness here on campus. So like you said, I've been here for over 15 years. November 1st will actually mark my 17th year at Laurentian University. I started off in what's called tech transfer. So it's the commercialization side of the university and working with inventors on invention disclosures and moving it forward to patenting and licensing. So, we've had a few patents and licenses in our history. We've, spun out companies like RNA Diagnostics. One of our faculty members is an integral part of that company where, the Laurentian University patented it, and then the company was created. We licensed the technology to them, and Dr. Parasenti is the Chief Scientific Officer, and so it's a great example of the innovation that's happening at Laurentian. But we also want to support the student side of things, and that's been and I always tell people this is the fun part of my job, in supporting student innovation and entrepreneurship. And it's not just for students that are interested in entrepreneurship and starting up a career, or a company I should say, but also developing the skill sets that they need, and maybe going to work with some of the companies here in town, working with startups or established companies. So, I could talk a little bit more if you want about the history. I know we wanted to talk about the history of what the Foundry is and how it came to be. So just, jumping into that. So when I joined Laurentian, we at the time had we had just launched the Enactus Club, which was the first entrepreneurship-related club at Laurentian.
This is back when?
Back in 2007.
Wow. Okay.
And actually the individual who was, I guess, technically my first direct report back in the day is now a manager on the 6th floor working with digital strategies, Trevor Paquette. And he helped launch the Enactus Club here at Laurentian. And following that launch, they eventually moved on to working with Le Clagrandeur here at Laurentian. It's just a really outstanding club that supports, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, social innovation. So that was our first first time dipping our toes, I guess, into supporting student entrepreneurship. And then a few years...
Does the club still exist?
The club, we no longer have a club right now at Laurentian. I'm hoping it comes back. Like, I look at what the club does for the students and the opportunities and the learning and the leadership that they develop. For a while, when the center was opened back in 2018, we made that space available to them, and we supported the club through, a little financial support for some of their promotion, their Zap banners and giving them the space and acting as advisors. And I know some of those students have gone on to become lawyers and business development managers, and ones with the Business Development Bank of Canada that helps to finance startups, right? So it's clubs like that are really important. So really hope that we get the Enactus Club back here at Laurentian in the future.
Maybe having an Instagram account or a web space or something
Absolutely.
That would help.
Yeah, and Heather's had some interactions with students that have attempted to bring it back. We did briefly 2 years ago, and then the students moved on. So, it's when you have a club like that, you need a mix of students that are early on in their academic career, and then those, that are later, third and fourth year, but mentoring the younger members, right? So that when they graduate, then you've got that continuity that happens. So, like I said, that was our first, entrepreneurship club here at Laurentian. And then following that, there was an opportunity some years ago through the provincial government, and we submitted an application, and based on that application, we led a program with Cambrian College and Collège Boréal, where we created a network of support. We had one shared person between the three institutions, and it was called the Sudbury Youth Entrepreneurship Hub. And you may have noticed in our center that we actually have a wooden table that was created by the first coordinator, Matt Dassis, for that program. And he built it himself and engraved the logo into the table. And it's this wonderful piece of history that we've kept. And at the time, we didn't have a space. And as the program, matured, we had that program for 5 years, but we were able to obtain space on the 6th floor of the Parker building, a double office, and so that's where we were. Interestingly enough, even though the program was called the Sudbury Youth Entrepreneurship Hub, or SCI, the space that we created on the 6th floor was called the Foundry. So in that particular case, the Foundry was the physical space, whereas here now it's flipped around, where the Foundry is our programming, but we are located in the Jim Fielding Innovation and Commercialization space. So the Foundry, and a lot of people refer to this beautiful 5,000 square foot facility as the Foundry, is actually our programming. So, so we were up on the 6th floor. The government launched a funding program called the Strategic Infrastructure Fund. Mm-hmm. It was a really quick turnaround. The university worked with a lot of our partners in the community, engaging them in consultation about what the university and the community needed. So this building, has a mix of space. We've got beautiful, engineering labs in the lower portion. We also had a central analytic facility, but one thing we wanted to create was an innovation center for our students. So that's how that came about. It was a really quick turnaround, and the government was very strict on timelines. So once we were approved, we had to be shovel ready.
And this is 2018.
I think it was 2017. So we had, a set timeline to get this building up and operating. So I had the privilege of being involved in that process, which I think is one of the funnest parts of my entire career, in creating this physical space that's going to be here for generations.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the time, I was able, so we had a bit of an overlap. At the time, we had We had a new coordinator that was managing the Sudbury Youth Entrepreneurship Hub, Meron Yeshua, who's brilliant, just amazing at reaching out and working with students and supporting them. And we had, these once a year we would have the BYOB, so the Be Your Own Boss pitch competition. We'd have one at Cambrian, we'd have one at Laurentian, we'd have one at Boreal, and then we'd bring the students that would win at each institution for one final event. So
Is it still happening?
it is not happening anymore, but I am really hoping. I know there's a pitch competition happening. I believe it's next week.
Yeah, that's Venture North.
Venture North, where they open it up to students. Unfortunately, we don't have any students participating, but we're going to fix that in the future. It's challenging to promote during the summer when our students are not necessarily on campus, but definitely that's something we want to do. So we opened up this center. Like I said, the Sudbury Youth Entrepreneurship Hub overlapped for about a year. And
Is it a citizen initiative?
the Sudbury Youth Entrepreneurship Hub, so that was funded through the Ontario Centre of Innovation. At the time it was the Ontario Centre of Excellence, but they've changed their name. So that funding terminated. We had it for 5 years, but luckily for us, the center was just coming online, and at the time we had Daryl Dominic, who was our coordinator prior to Heather coming on board. And so everything that you see here in the branding and the identity, every piece of equipment was picked out by Daryl Dominic. So we've between Matt and Meron and Daryl and Heather, we've had this incredible talent that all support our students. So that's where we're at right now. Is there's been a lot of changes, and
Is this name also given by Daryl?
the Foundry, actually, because we utilized it at the space on the 6th floor, the Foundry, that came from Matt Dassis.
Okay.
And we went through a branding exercise when we moved into this space, and we involved some entrepreneurs, some people on campus that are interested in supporting entrepreneurship.
Logo designing and
And
all.
we went around in circles, and then at the end of the day, we came back to the Foundry, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather, would you like to maybe add on something, or maybe share your experience on how did you join and how things are with the Foundry?
Sure. Yeah. So since I joined, I've had the opportunity to kind of oversee the day-to-day. So I spend most of my time physically in the space, working with students, and also developing a lot of our programming. So I do workshops, guest speakers. We do, a lot of something unique office hours. That's really fun, where I bring, either entrepreneurs or industry experts, and they come and spend some hours in the space, and they just work, and then students or anyone else that's interested just comes, drop in, and you get a free chat with an expert, and I've seen a lot of students utilize it. It's been, fantastic. And especially for some of our partners like the Innovation Quarters, it also gives them a chance to meet some prospective clients as well, and we get those kind of one-on-one for them, and it's beneficial all around for everyone.
Yeah, I do see it's mentioned on your event calendar as well. I do see Melissa's office hours in the Foundry, and I think you guys are going to have some people from NORCAT as well.
Yes, yeah. So that's part of my my fall programming. Yes, I'm planning to have the Innovation Quarters, and I have NORCAT as well coming for office hours.
Yeah, this was very thoughtful actually.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic concept, and I loved it when I first heard of it, because a lot of the time you don't have that opportunity for one-on-one, right? Like you write an email to a company and they respond, but you don't get that personal feel. And here it's you come, you sit down in a nice relaxing space, have that great conversation, and I've actually seen a lot of students had no idea about the Innovation Quarters. They are now clients in the incubation program downtown. So
a lot of students from my program, I graduated from computer science program last year. I do see a couple of students and people who are now working, they're alumni of Laurentian. They're also taking advantage of Innovation Quarter. It's a wonderful program. The first 6 months, there is no cost if you get selected with a pitch, and there are a lot of Laurentian students are there enrolled currently, and they are learning about business and workshops and and there are a lot of benefits. I think some of them also got a chance to participate in the Discovery X where you were
Yes.
also there. So this is great. People getting an opportunity to meet people from Innovation Quarter or NORCAT at Laurentian through Foundry is very thoughtful, I think.
Yes, it is. And a lot of what I do is, taking students that have these ideas and have nowhere to go, and I find them resources. So office hours is one of those fantastic tools that I have, because a lot of the students, they come to me and they're like, hey, I have this idea, but I don't know where I'm supposed to go with it, right? So then I serve as, a central point for them to help connect them to different resources, in the city or resources within. We have a wealth of research happening here at Laurentian, so there have been instances where I've been able to introduce students to some faculties and they were able to collaborate on projects. So,
Wow, that's wonderful. When Gisele was talking about, she was giving a background about the Foundry, I actually had a question in mind which I wanted to ask. You mentioned that there are a lot of government program that, mostly provincial,
Yep.
that helped us, establishing this. Is there any scope of grant or funding program are also there which could perhaps maybe help students or startup in somehow, or maybe a channel from where you can direct people in how to take those grants and fundings from?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there are different, it depends on where you're at in your entrepreneurial
Right.
journey, right? So, we always promote the summer company program that's offered through the
Yes.
city. Like that's a really great program. So like one of our alumnus, Cameron Purdue, he has a company called In Capture, and which he started off at summer company doing videos. Eventually he became one of the first licensed drone operators in Sudbury. But that's how he started off, was summer company, right? And then we supported him, and he also supported us. So that's one great program. There's other. There's NOHFC, so the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund
yes.
Corporation is another great source of support.
That is more like it's good for the companies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to hire new grad with zero experience, and I
Yeah.
think provincial government is helping them with salaries and.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's for more the companies that have launched, that have incorporated FedNor as well, for those that are a little bit further down in their startup journey. And then there's, on the intellectual property side, there's resources available through Elevate IP, which is a federal program, and then there's IPON, which is Intellectual Property Ontario. So they also have support and some funding to support patenting expenses and also education, right? Which is incredibly important if you're going to be investing into intellectual property. You need to know, you have to have a strategy. You
Right,
have
right.
to see where, where the investments need to be made. So there's different funding opportunities, on the academic side as well. There's also internships. My Tax is a really great program where we can put a student in with a company to work, the BSI, which is a business solutions internship, where you get a student going to work with a company on a specific project within the company to advance a product or a process. So those are really great opportunities, and I'd love to connect more students on that side. And sometimes you get to work with really early stage companies as
Right.
well, and those are important skill sets to learn.
Right. Yeah. Just for our viewers, Gisele has covered a lot of funding opportunities. In our first podcast, we have had a deep dive in with Jose and Melissa, where they are discussing about how businesses can take advantage of Northern Ontario Heritage Fund and other funding opportunities in detail. So do make sure that you check out that video as well. So moving on. So now I'm going to discuss about the structure of Foundry and how that happens. Heather to maybe,
Sure.
give us
for
a walkthrough.
Sure. I will speak on this as I do all day to day, and I work with the students. But so I will start by saying all of our programming is free. So any of the workshops, guest lectures, anything like that, that's free, and it is open to the community. So there's no real process for that. I would say it's kind of I do my social media. I've got communications through the Laurentian channels, and I just promote that outwards. So if you're interested in any of those, all you have to do is simply show up on that day. If you want more structured support, so if you want to actually start a business, then you become a client of the Foundry, and then I work with you one-on-one. So then we tailor the services to what you need. So if you come to me with an idea and you need to register your business, I will help walk you through how to register your business. And then after that, if you need to develop a physical product, I help support you along that way. So our first meeting is usually a simple intake process. I get a scope of what you're looking for, and then we map out a plan as to how the Foundry can support you and get you to where you would like to go.
Mm-hmm. And is this program only for actively enrolled Laurentian student, or does alumni can also take advantage of this?
No, it is open to anyone. So alumni are more than welcome to come and just come see the space and work with me. Yes, I have worked mostly with current students, but I know in the past we do have alumni that have used our space and our services.
Sorry, and I'm just going to jump in because, one thing I'd like to highlight as well, and it's just a really good success story, is a few years ago, we started working with a company called iRegain.
Yes.
And so I met Vineet when he won NORCAT's pitch competition.
Yes.
I was at the event, and at the end of the evening, I walked down and introduced myself to Vineet. I was, I knew one of his advisors, and so just thought it was a great opportunity to introduce myself, and that became, it became a friendship. Vineet is one of my good friends, and at the time, he was developing the My Hand prototype, needed some help, and we were able to support him in the maker space here. We have a number of 3D printers, and sometimes you have a great business idea, but you may not necessarily have the skills that you need to actually bring that forward. And so at the time, Daryl Dominic was here, and he worked with some of Vineet's staff in showing them how to design and how to 3D print that prototype. And since then, we've been working with Vineet. He's been able to access funding through MyTax, the international program, which allowed him to travel to different countries and expand his sales opportunities, right? So, Vineet's not a student, he's not an alumnus, but he's become, a success story from having access to the resources here. And he's also given back to us, through MyTax, where he's taken students on as interns. And also, I would say more than 50% of his workforce right now are Laurentian grads, which is incredible.
Right. Just for our viewers who do not know a lot about iRegain and Neil Johnson, so that is a wonderful startup based in Sudbury. Currently, they are operating their office from NORCAT Innovation Center, and they have amazing Meritech product, and it has been evolved over the period of years, and I would highly recommend searching out for iRegain and the products that they have built. It's an amazing company to work with, and as Gisele just mentioned, that a lot of Laurentian students are also working there. A couple of them are my friends and fellow batchmates who have developed the software, and they're helping in the prototype and all, and it's amazing to know that amazing to learn today that Foundry was able to help iRegain, and if I guess people from iRegain and Vineet is watching this, they would really appreciate this. So thank you for sharing that, Gisele. This was a wonderful story. And just continuing that, I would like to ask you if you would like to mention any other success stories that you have had, people who was able to take advantage and help from Foundry.
Yes, absolutely. I can speak to two of them that became clients the year I started. Actually, I started working with both of them. One woman, Elmira, her and her husband have a wood building company. So they're doing a lot of different things. They do wooden eyewear, and they've also just moved into the cabinet space. So they're doing really well for themselves. They actually spend a lot of their time here, right here in the maker space.
Yeah, I see them a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
they've used a lot of our tools. They've used our laser cutters, our 3D printers to help build their products.
So what is that product, if you could maybe?
Yeah, so she has wooden eyewear.
Okay.
Yeah, she has an Instagram account. You can follow on there, and you can see some of the designs. And so they actually started the company back in their home country of Iran, and then she came here to start her studies, and then she picked up here. What's really unique about her product is she uses the different types of wood for her wooden eyewear, so it's not all the same type of wood. And they're fantastic. I've worn a pair. I love them. I think they're great. And then just recently, her husband, he started working at a cabinet company. So now they've built a device for cabinets. So they're working on, the commercialization of that product now too.
So is it available in any of the e-commerce, or they are just selling it themselves? Or?
The wooden eyewear. There is a website. She has a website for it. If you go on her Instagram, all of the details are there. But yeah, there is a website for that. And then the cabinet, they're really still in the prototyping stage, so I can't speak too much on that. But so her and her husband are doing really well. The other success story I'll talk about is Jerry. So Jerry is creating a medtech device. And it's a really unique device. I can't speak too much on it. But it's one of those devices it's for cancer research. That's what I can say about it. And he's come a really long way in developing the product, and he's actually moved down south to Toronto, and he's joined 2 accelerators down there to help further develop this project. He's paid for patents on it, and he's just he's in the prototyping stage right now. I believe they're in the kind of the first initial stages of it. He's got the design, he's got the patent, and now that he's trying to build it out. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And Mira, actually, so it's glad that we are doing this today, because we were TA for a course, and we used to, talk a lot about how each other's thesis is going, but we never really got an opportunity to deep dive into this, or maybe she might have started it later on. So that could be also the possibility, but very happy to give a shout out to her products, and I'll also feature her Instagram account, so the viewers can follow that and see some work that she's doing. And if you like any of the products, then feel free to check out the places from where you can buy the products as well. Okay, so now I would like to talk about what kind of events that the Foundry has been organizing or helping organizers, providing them the platform, and if you guys are also participating in any events, or if you would like to maybe talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of workshops and guest speakers, those are held kind of mainly here at Laurentian in the Gym Fielding Innovation Space. My aim with these particular sessions are just education, especially for our students, staff, and faculty here that don't, know a lot about the innovation space, but they're really curious, or if they want to start a business, then these types of sessions give them that opportunity. So in terms of the content, I've offered things from ideation all the way up to scaling up. So we've done several sessions in the last year on intellectual property. That's always a topic of interest. And then we've done things like the business models, And then I've also had several guest speakers just come in and speak about what it is to be an entrepreneur, right? What are some of the challenges? What are some of those struggles? And then also, what's fun about being an entrepreneur? You know, it is a lot of work. I've heard that from entrepreneurs, but it's always rewarding to see something, you know, you've really wanted to happen to actually come to fruition. And I find the students are most engaged with those sessions, because they get that opportunity to just speak with that entrepreneur and learn about their journey. For a lot of the students I work with, they have an idea, but they're not sure if they really want to start that business. So giving them that opportunity to interact with entrepreneurs, I think, is invaluable for them to grow and figure out exactly what path they need to take. Yeah, and then some of the other workshops we offer actually in the maker space here. So we have several 3D printers now. We have a laser cutter. We've got a CNC mill for product manufacturing. What else? We have a 3D scanner, and then as well as some just other general purpose construction tools. So whether you're prototyping or you just want to come and learn how to use a printer, you're welcome to come and drop by the space. I have a student that's working with me now, Callum. He's fantastic, has a good background in 3D printing and laser cutting. So we've got some good talent in the space to really help grow it and make it available to others. Yeah.
And I also want to touch base on a few things where Foundry also, has a representation in certain events like Discovery X that happened this year. How was that experience? And I just noticed that they have started a campaign because they are going to have another event next year. So would you guys be going there as well? And how was the experience?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So OC Discovery has been taking place for a number of years, but there was a pause, I think, of about 4 years where the event, pre-COVID, I think, the last one I attended was probably in 2019, but there was none scheduled for 2020, so it just so happened that it didn't take place, and then it came back last year. But my experience with that in the past, Sudbury has this amazing innovation ecosystem that works really well together. And in the past, we've come together, the Regional Business Center, NORCAT, and now we have the Innovation Quarters, we have the Angels, we have Cambrian College, we have Collège Boréal, and, we've always worked together to create that northern Sudbury presence at Discovery. So when Discovery X came around last year, we saw an opportunity to bring, the old gang back together. So absolutely, we are already talking to our partners about having a Sudbury presence once again. I'd like to see more students attending, finding a way to support those students, because I had attended, many, many times over the years, probably close to 10 times. Heather last year this year, it was her first time attending, and as someone that's new in the space, it's inspiring, it's energizing. There's the vibe in the room, and seeing what other organizations, colleges, universities, what they're doing, what their students are coming up with, and new startups. Personally, I think Discovery X is going to be really big next year, as we've seen, Collision do its 5 years in Toronto, which was huge. You're looking at over 20,000 people attending Collision, probably closer to 30,000, and that's done. So it's now moved on to Vancouver for the next 5 years. So that leaves a bit of a gap in that type of event that brings together all the innovators, right? So I think that Discovery X is going to grow even more, and it is a really good experience for the innovators to get connected and also get ideas from what other entrepreneurs and institutions are doing. Like Heather and I were talking about, there's opportunities to grow what we're doing here with our programming through the Foundry, but let's not reinvent the wheel, right? It's, there are pathways that have been established, there's playbooks that have been written. So let's look to what other institutions are doing and see how we can leverage that knowledge for our purposes here at Laurentian.
Absolutely, yeah, that's very wise. I think I have covered pretty much, just have one last question, and that is open to both of you. Looking ahead, what's on the horizon of Foundry, and what are the future scope, and what can we expect more to come? I know we talked about a lot of pieces that helped forming the Foundry. There were a lot of clubs who were in place. Maybe do you see that any chance that they are going to revive, or just anything like what do you see in the future?
Yeah, for myself personally, and then I'll let Heather chime in. Happy to have clubs come back. I know Heather's had a few conversations with students. I'd like to see, we talked about a little bit about the funding, right? But there's always that funding gap that exists for students that or any startup right at the beginning, pre-revenue, where you may not have that MVP, that minimal viable product yet. So, this is something that's been on, in our minds for a while, is creating some kind of incubation or accelerator fund that, is not going to be much. But let's say, we have a cohort of maybe 5 companies that we're supporting that are incubating here, and let's say we have $10,000 per company,
Right.
where you meet your milestones, and then we give you some money, right? So it could be, interview 100 clients about, get feedback on your product, or get your first sale, those kinds of milestones, where then we can advance you money. That'll help get you to the next stage. That's something that I'd really like to explore. We need help. If there's anybody out there that wants to support that, happy to have that conversation. The other thing that's happening right now across Canada is there are a number of proposals that went in this week for a program called Lab to Market. So we're partners on 3 of those. And what we're hoping to do is, if any of those get supported, is to augment, the capacity here at the center. And again, going back to those playbooks, right, that are being written for other programs, because this is a very collegial community and people share that knowledge. It's not necessarily proprietary to the extent that you would acknowledge, where that came from, but people are willing to share. So I'd like to see a little bit more of the sort of knowledge-based instruction, and maybe at some point in the future, maybe see an entrepreneurship course here at Laurentian. Like, we do have the venture class right now with the Faculty of Management, but I'd like to see a baseline entrepreneurship program that includes a component around intellectual property, financing, growing, scaling, those kinds of things for any student in any discipline.
Yeah, I think having a cohort would be amazing.
Yeah.
Within Laurentian, where you see people entering and exiting with some sort of gain, where, as you mentioned, reaching some milestone, getting a first sale and things like that, and then they are on their own, or maybe they might take help from the other platform like Innovation Quarter or NORCAT, or other places, just to grow. And this is, I think, it's a very wonderful vision. Heather, would you like to add anything?
Yes, so Gisele touched on it a little bit with the Lab to Market. Is, for me, it's creating more partnerships. We have a lot of resources here at Laurentian, but we still need some. So I think for me, as my role in working directly with the students, is just creating more partnerships and working with more individuals to bring more resources here. So like right now, I work with the innovation quarters on something called Homegrown Ventures. So this is actually a really fun event that I started under a different name, Meet the Founders, when I first joined in 2021. So the aim behind this initiative is to bring in entrepreneurs, and it's a hour to hour and a half long session where the audience gets to ask them questions kind of about their journey and get insight as to what they went through, where they are today, how they got there, and different aspects of their journey kind of along the way. So that's really fun. In the last year also, I started working with Google's developer group, Sudbury. So this is a student-led initiative here in Sudbury, and they are funded by Google. So they do a lot of events in the tech space. So earlier this year in May, we hosted a hackathon with them. AI,
I was also a participant.
yes, you were. I know. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun, and we had good engagement from students for that. So that was fantastic. And I'm also working with them on a couple of events coming up this fall. So we have one actually on Saturday. So it's a Silicon Crater Tech Meet. So it's an opportunity for students to come in and learn from some experts. So Vineet Johnson of iRegained will actually be joining us for one of the sessions, and then he'll also be participating in a panel just to talk about technology here in Sudbury and the innovations happening. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, attending that event as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the last event that I attended was also a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
I have also been a part of that group. I was actually a speaker last year when they had an event in Cambrian. And so it's really good to see, and people from that group is also praising a lot and saying good things about Laurentian and Foundry, that they're getting amazing support. And that's why we are seeing that a lot of their events they're preferring now to organize here more. So it's been wonderful. The kind of support that they are getting is amazing, and it's good that things like that is happening on campus. And the name they have, or you guys have come up with, is very cool.
Yes.
When I think I had shared that on Instagram, everybody was asking me, like, is it something like a Silicon Valley, or the name relates a lot with that. So yeah, it's some wonderful things. Really looking forward to it. And with this, I'll just end the podcast, and I just want to say a big thank you to both of you for sharing the knowledge and the vision. And also, I think it is going to benefit a lot of viewers who is going to watch this podcast, and especially the students who have recently joined Laurentian, undergrads, grad students, some international students. Everybody is going to get, because there was a curiosity about this Foundry, and I think this podcast is going to serve as a really good source of information for them. And thank you so much for spending your time and sharing these insights.
Thank you. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So I'll just
There.